Even if the price of silver is down by the time you watch this video, it doesn't matter. The cat is already out of the bag, and the dramatic shift is taking place. I'll explain as we explore. In reality, this shift has been taking place for quite some time, although there has been times where it's been subdued. But what happened last trading day on Friday, September the 26th, that was a game changer in my view. We had the shocking move in the overnight markets. Yes, that's right. Before I explain totally exactly what's happening here, I want to remind you of channel sponsor Summit Metals. If you want to really elevate your wealth, well, you need to elevate your stack. And that is something that is a powerful move that you can make in holding on. Whether you're buying or holding, you are elevating your wealth by having silver in your portfolio, gold as well. And Summit Metals does sell silver, and they have great customer service. They're one of the fastest growing bullion dealers around. So check them out at summitmetals.com. So what am I talking about here? And what is this $52.31 silver? That's right. It is not a trick. That is $52.31 in US dollars. That is the 10% surge in price that we saw in overnight trading, according to a great post by Oriental Ghost over on X. He's been really documenting the markets there in the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the Shanghai Futures Exchange as well, and noting and documenting what's been going on there and this spread, this arbitrage opportunity that has arisen so many times when we've seen silver's price far higher in the Asian markets than we have seen in the U.S. markets and trading in the LBMA and COMEX. So what's going on here? Well, his post reads as follows. On September the 26th, 2025, the night trading data on the SGE and SHFE, gold an all-time high, and silver has reached a new high. Raw silver skyrocketed overnight by 10% to reach $52.31 in US dollars. That's right. And by the way, that spread, I've talked about that. There is no VAT or tax associated with that. That is the raw number. And by the way, this number is a little bit different than what is usually reported in terms of what the daily close is. This is the raw silver data, raw silver price. And so that stuff that's coming in or whatever, I don't know how exactly to interpret that, but that is a category there. But what's more important is not even really so much the price that we're talking about in the Shanghai Gold Exchange for silver. And by the way, that's one of the reasons why I'm showing this piece here. This is China's first bullion coin since that they have released. And actually, technically, it's a metal. It doesn't have a denomination on it. But nonetheless, it's the first one released in bullion form since the Panda series. So got one of those, paid a high premium for them. I think they're still going for a relatively high premium. I don't really fully understand why. I don't think there's a limited mintage on those. But nonetheless, it's a beautiful piece that I've added to the stack. Really more to the collection because I paid a very high premium for it. But nonetheless, this significant overnight surge in raw silver prices on the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the Shanghai Futures Exchange to this $52.31 an ounce level on the 26th of September, driven by night trading data. And that is outpacing now the Western benchmarks like the LBMA and the COMEX. And this is suggesting a potential shift in global pricing power away from those markets, away from the Western markets in general, including the London Bullion Market Association and the COMEX. And this is shifting the power of pricing towards China amid rising industrial and investment demand. And by the way, I'm recording this video before the market open. And usually every Sunday night I do a market open. We do a market watch, and who knows what's going to happen. We could see a correction from this. But the fact that it happened on a Friday and letting it sit over the weekend is telling. Yes, indeed, because we've seen this before. We always see that spread, and we've seen that a lot, really, for the last few years. This spike suggests a recent study from the Journal of Commodity Markets, which indicates that China's silver inventory depletion, which is down 35 metric tons on the SGE that week, could signal a supply crunch. That's right, and we know that's one of the things we've been seeing: supply squeeze, the silver shortage. And in the physical realm, that's where it really hurts, for sure. Of course, that is especially for industrial use of silver. And of course, China, we watch what goes on in China. What happens in China is very important to the rest of the world. They're the second largest economy in the world. And there's been a lot of conflicting information about China's economy and demand for silver that's utilized for manufacturing of products that are consumed here in the United States. That's still happening. And so those are the different factors that are at play. And of course, when you see a supply crunch there, well, it means something for sure. Global silver reserves estimated at less than 6 months by the Silver Institute, challenging the narrative of an abundant supply in Western markets. So that's what's happening here. That equates to 1,200 yuan for the retail price adjustments in China. This means that there's some localized market dynamics that are influenced by currency strength and speculative buying. This trend is supported by data that shows China's silver imports doubling from 2020 to 2024 per customs data in China. Now, I've been reporting on this as well on this channel for quite some time, and we know that China has been importing raw, unrefined silver, and that very well could be a part of the play in this price movement. But even if the price of silver is down today, this means that there's something happening. There's a shift. There's an occurrence that this can happen in overnight trading, and this shows a pressure in the market, and we could see it again. To me, this is a good sign that any kind of downward trend in silver's price is probably going to just be temporary, and we're going to see the rally continue. Another breakout, a breakout above another breakout. This could potentially mean that we are at the cusp of an even greater breakout for silver. I'm weighing all possibilities here. There is one aspect of what happens with some of these data and how they're reported and what they could mean. But at this point in time, it can only mean a positive move for silver's price. As to how much, I don't know. But that's a pretty big move, 10% in overnight, especially with how they are measuring this. So it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. But this Oriental Ghost X account here, the person behind it, there's a lot of research in the markets there, accurately reporting what's going on. And I think I've been following this account for a while and find it fascinating, the reporting and the data that are posted there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out and what kind of effect it's going to play on silver. Remember, we are in the middle of a bull run. We're on our way towards $50. I think we're probably going to get there, and it could happen this year, at least based off of what we've been seeing with these $1 and even $2 moves per week. And there seems to be a shift from the short to the long position that as I have been reporting on, really now, I think a month or so ago. And that's really where this next breakout that we've been seeing has occurred. And so the signs of it slowing down are few and far between. There's more signs of silver moving in a positive direction than a negative direction. And as I had predicted in the previous consolidation or pullback, it didn't last long, and it started to spring forth yet again. And I think that the next dip, wherever and whenever it is, and again, I'm somewhat assuming that we may see a dip. If we're not in one now, we might see it again sometime soon. A move up $2 or so in a day or two is a big move, and usually there's some sort of a pause in a period or a pullback before it moves again. I think we're kind of due for that to some extent, and we shouldn't be surprised by that. But I'm overall excited to see where silver goes in some extent, and I don't think this means that the economy is going to crash, by the way. I just think there's so many fundamentals whether or not the economy is hurting, and I'm talking about globally, not just talking about in one particular country or another, but the United States is obviously the largest economy, so it's where most of this focus is. But nonetheless, with a GDP well above 3%, there's aspects of our economy that is doing quite well. And notice I said aspects. There's other aspects that aren't doing so well. We recognize that. We know that some of the data that are published we have to question. But nonetheless, we're holding out to see what happens with the price of silver and with the economy overall. Now, obviously, as you know, I've reported many times that I really feel, it looks like this thing is a coin, rather. Look at there. There's a denomination on it, indeed. So it looks like that with the price of silver and the market moving the way it is, I think we likely could see an economic situation that could support it going up. Even if there's really good economic data coming forward, that means that there's going to be more consumer push to that for goods and services that require silver. Or if the economy doesn't do so well, I think people are going to move into safe haven assets more and more. I think gone are the days of surging into cryptocurrencies for a safe haven. They're more speculative all around. And for those of you familiar with this channel, I would much rather the economy do well for everybody and silver's price drop dramatically. I think that's really the bottom line. People are more successful when the economy does well, and I root for it all around. I don't want the economy to go south just for a high silver price. To me, there's more to silver than just price. It's not what validates silver to me. And I don't think it should for you either. That's why I don't like to focus on doom and gloom. Obviously, you have to deal with it when you're talking about economics and the price of something. But I do feel strongly that, no matter what happens in the economy, I think we're going to see silver stay up or stay elevated from numbers that we've not seen since before this rally. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.